It is 6 o'clock. If you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. There was a Washington Public Courts meeting the 25th through the 28th, and we had an Open Public Meeting Act and public records classes that we're required to do, and found out that we need to have public comment at the beginning, so even before the agenda. So if you would like to have public comment in the beginning, please do. Brad, do you have a... Brad has his hand raised.
Thanks a lot, guys. Brad Carey here.
Just a real quick public comment. We have a settlement agreement that we agreed to
reported to Allyn and myself on June 9th, and it was supposed to be a joint press release that was done, and that joint press release appears that it might be a violation of the agreement. We worked extra hard to make sure that a copy of the agreement was attached in the joint press release, and I did take a look at the newspaper. I didn't see that, so I'd like the court to look at that, and if in fact it's correct, I'd like them to go ahead and make the corrections and get that press release done the way the agreement says to. If I'm wrong, then, you know, my apologies, but it appears that I'm correct. But just take a look at it, and then if you guys find that I am correct, go ahead and acknowledge, and you can do that next month if you want. But then as soon as we find that it needs to be done properly, then let's get it done promptly. And again, it's on page 5 of 6. It's right near the end of the agreement. And basically it says that a copy of the settlement agreement needs to be attached as part of the joint press release. So, and also with regards to, is Mr. Brogan available, or is he on with us?
No, he is not tonight.
Okay, that's fine. Well, just have Mr. Brogan contact me. There's 3 parties involved here. I had counsel that was representing me on one of my first complaints. I was representing the other 3 complaints. So he can work directly with me and we get this resolved. I don't want it to cost a lot of money. In fact, if you guys find that it just was forgotten, then just make the changes and let's get on with it. Don't even need to involve Brogan. And it'll be cheap for everybody, okay? And that's it.
Duly noted. Thank you, Brad.
Okay, thanks guys. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, now we can have the approval of the agenda.
Ken Van Buskirk just came in. He
Okay.
may want to say something.
And do you see Ken?
I just admitted him. I'm
Okay,
not sure where
we'll
he
wait
is.
then, because I'd like to have him have the ability to speak.
Madam Chair?
Oh, thank you, Jeff, because I can't see it from here, so thank you, Jeff. Go ahead, Jeff. Thank you.
So go ahead.
Yes, please.
Real quick, and you're going to be discussing it tonight's minutes, or agenda, but I thought I'd at least point out one point of view on an issue. Dealing with the the delegation of authority, raising the limit from potentially from 25 to 40,000. I have no problem with the concept, no issue with your director or anybody doing that. My only concern is that's like 9% of your total revenues. That seems like a fairly large number that, given all things, that you probably want the court commission to at least be publicly discussing those things. But it's that big a percentage of the court's budget. So that's my point. I mean, I think it just needs consideration. So thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Those who have kind of started a little later, we have public comment at the beginning, found out that we are to have public comment before action items, so even before the agenda. So if anybody would like to speak, please do. I see a few more. Phil, Terry, Ken, anybody?
Oops. I'll write this down.
Oh, thank you, Jeff.
Yep, there you go.
Okay.
Okay, I see no hands raised. So moving forward, we will now go to the agenda, approval of the agenda. I would like to add one thing to the agenda, and that was new business, and that was F, set up a work session, because there's some Peninsula Regional Transportation Organization grants available. And also, I got a call from a local engineer about the Feller Belfair State Park plan that might be available for some grants. Matter of fact, I called Thera Black, who's with PRTPO, see if we could do that. So anyway, we need to have a work session, and I'd like to set that up. Do I hear an approval of the agenda? Are there any other changes?
I'll make approval of this agenda. Of course, we added the public comment to the end. I'll approve. I make a motion to approve that.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Okay, consent agenda item, which is the regular meeting minutes of July 7th. Has everybody had a chance to look at those?
Yes, and I'll make a motion that we approve the July 7th minutes.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Action items, who'd like to read that?
All right. So I'll make a motion to approve the general fund voucher for $38,184.96, and the payroll voucher for $26,255.47, and the water fund voucher for $303.04.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
And
Aye.
approve
Oh,
digital
Approved.
signatures.
Oh,
well, I didn't. It's such.
Well,
it's so
indeed.
different. So
and D is approve the use of digital signatures as on all documents approved at this meeting.
okay, let me correct myself. Then
Okay.
that does make sense. So, and also the digital as needed on documents approved at this meeting, to include that in my motion.
Thank you, John. Second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Commissioner reports. Who'd like to go first?
I'll go first. I attended the general meeting and the two special meetings, and then I attended the WAPA meeting, but I also want to say, I think this was the 22nd or 23rd Allyn Days that I participated in, and I thought the Allyn Community Club Association did an amazing job, and staff here at the Port of Allyn. I didn't hear one complaint. It was all very positive, and so I just want to say thank you to those groups.
Great. Anything else?
No, that's it.
John?
Okay, yeah, to speak to that, Allyn Days, it was incredible. Commissioner Jackson down there did an awesome job. It was there Saturday, he was out there cooking, doing what he does best down there, just taking part and giving back to the community. I appreciate that. Just overall, I mean, what a wonderful job. I mean, I'm a new commissioner, but I've been around long enough to know that I haven't seen an Allyn Day like that in my time coming through the community. So, it was so well organized. Jason was all over down there, right? So, yeah, a big kudos for that. And then I did the July 7th MTA executive, and then and then followed by that was a Port of Allyn meeting on July 7th, regular meeting. And then an MTA July 19th regular meeting, Mason Transit Authority, which also did a great job at the Allyn Days, phenomenal. And then on the 25th to the 27th was a commissioners meeting in Walla Walla, and that was very condensed and very eye-opening. I really enjoyed it and learned a lot from those 3 days. So that's my report.
Okay. I attended the July 7th, and also I think it was July 14th was Economic Development Council for Mason County. No different news on that one. And also the Washington Public Ports Association. That was really good. And matter of fact, show that. Because,
Okay.
Bonnie, I wish I had this 20 years ago.
No kidding.
This is just fantastic.
Did they have it 20 years ago?
Huh?
You probably didn't have it 20 years ago.
No, they didn't.
Still relying on Bob's.
They were working on it, I'm sure, slowly, but yeah.
One of the things that I thought I'd better share too, because there's always the big hoopla about river dams, about the removal of the river dams, and Paul Ocker from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, he helps manage particularly one of them he talked about. I can't remember which one it was on Snake River. It wasn't McNary, but to explain everything what they've done for the salmon habitat and how they manage all that and the money that they've spent to restore restore the salmon and what they've done. And it's critical, at least in my opinion, that we keep the dams. That's cheap power, it's green power, quote unquote. There's so many benefits, and transportation, they talked about transportation, and if the dams were removed, there wouldn't be ways to get cargo up or cargo down. So I just thought that was really important. That was great. So that's mine. Thank you. Next is Travis, Security Officers Report. And Travis, if you would go up to the podium, please. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Travis Merrill, Port of Allen Security. Well, as summer is, much more activity. I'm chasing people out of the park every night now. And none of them give me grief over it. They just leave. Some of them are parking outside the gates after I leave, which we don't have much jurisdiction over. But they seem to be not causing any ruckus or anything, nothing I need to call the sheriffs about. And they're all been very quiet. We definitely have a lot more transient issues in the bathrooms. At least 3 times this month I've had to wait for them to leave, and they leave on foot, no cars. But haven't had any cross issues with Dawn telling me we have anybody sleeping in the park, so that's a good start. Some various tiny mortgage issues. People are kind of finding ways to skirt around our payment system. Like to fold their tickets in half so I can't see how many feet they paid for. Put it on the opposite side of the boat so it's hard for me to read. Other than that, we're taking licenses and sending those to the office to address those issues and hopefully get our proper fundage for our facilities. Other than that, I'd say it's been a successful month.
Great.
Travis, on those tickets, excuse me.
Yeah.
Doesn't they say on the bottom that they have to be displayed?
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And what they do is they fold it in half so you just see the date and you don't see the actual amount of feet they pay for it, because that's actually at the top of the ticket. And when I take my notes, I need to see the transaction number so that I have everything I need for the credit card that was taken for it and what location it was paid for at.
Right.
Because the transaction numbers will lead us back to each machine, because they start at 0 and each machine was put in at a different date.
People used to do that with the Discovery Pass.
Sure.
So you couldn't see it, it's not
Right.
properly displayed, so.
Great.
One way or another, we'll find some money out of them. It'd be nice if we could have some kind of penalty for it, though, because there seems to be the same offenders year in and year out, and there's really no repercussions at this point. So, something to work on, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Travis.
Good, thank you.
Thanks, Travis.
That's great. Okay, Larry, Executive Director's Report.
All right, financial issues. Revenues and expenses are performing as expected for this time of year and in this economy. We have bookings for almost every weekend between now and Labor Day for the gazebo. Had another call on one today. And while mortgage appears to have picked up a bit, it's not what we budgeted for. Well, we'll get a boost from shrimp and crab season. That's not unusual, and it isn't enough to make up the difference. We also had an issue at the pay station here in Allyn. It was either the modem or the SIM card. I ordered a new SIM card from Verizon. When we got it, we tested it in the modem and it still didn't work. So Ventec will have to replace the modem. We got a okay on that this morning. So in trying to narrow down the problem, we switched out the modem from the Hood Canal Marina pay station, which caused some of the ticket issues that Travis briefed you about a minute ago, but not all of them. Since that pay station is a lot less busy than Allyn and people can pay at the boat launch, we're going to leave the working modem here in Allyn. This month's budget versus actual report is not included in your meeting packet, but it's been replaced with the June and year-to-date county financial statement reports. Water system issues. I've sent in everything required for the Mason County Commissioners to make a decision on our ARPA funds request for the balance of the new well funding. They have it on their agenda for a decision tomorrow. As far as the acquisition of Jeff Carey's water system, after meeting with the engineers, the consensus is we should locate our new well and booster pump up by the reservoir and just buy the infrastructure that's in the ground and not acquire Jeff's well. This should significantly reduce the cost. Jeff has sent me some deal parameters which Joe Brogan and I went through with Jeff. Joe has put together some of the basic paperwork for the acquisition, and Jeff and I will meet later this week to talk money. Once we settle on a price, I'll meet with both Aspect Consulting and Northwest Water about tying all this together. We're eligible for Department of Health funding for consolidation of the two systems, and I've gotten some information from them to begin our application. Application period opens in October, and we'll have ours ready to go once we know the dollar amount we want to ask for. Aspect and Northwest Water are also finalizing everything to put this project out to bid. Also, the Evergreen Rural Water Fall Conference and Trade Show is being held in Yakima at the end of August. I'd like to attend this as there are several topics on the agenda that could benefit us. I enclose the agenda in your meeting packet. We need a new date for the September meeting. A regular meeting in September falls on Labor Day, so we need to set a new date. Does Wednesday, September 7th work for everyone?
Yeah, it does for me.
And moorage issue. We've addressed the issue of the monthly tenant moored here at Allyn that was renting out their boat as an Airbnb. And looking at our Marina rules, which were originally approved in 2015, I couldn't find anything that applied to this situation. Joe Brogan looked at it, and his conclusion is that a moorage tenant can't conduct a business on port property without the port's permission, which was the case here. However, Mason County zoning prohibits that as well. I also contacted every port in the state with a marina, and none of them allow that either. In dealing with this, it made it obvious we needed to update the marina rules in general. And these were originally adopted in 2015. We included a lot of things that aren't really applicable, and there are other things that needed to be updated as well. The updated marina rules are in your packet and on the agenda for review and approval, along with Resolution 2022-009 for this. Delegation of Authority update. At the Executive Director Seminar last month, Frank Schmelik brought up the fact the state has increased the amount for no-bid contracts to $40,000. He suggested that executive directors review their level of spending authority and asked that it be increased to $40,000 if it wasn't that high. My spending authority is currently $25,000 and has been for the past 6+ years. It would be more convenient for everyone if I'm able to routinely approve no-bid contracts up to $40,000. I modified the delegation of authority document to reflect that amount and didn't make any other changes to it. Documents in your packet and on the agenda along with Resolution 2022-010 for review and approval. New IT vendor. Because he's a local guy, we had hoped the same vendor we use for the cameras could become our go-to guy for all our IT needs. But it just really hasn't worked out very well for a number of reasons. One example is that he didn't bill us for any IT support for several months, then billed us all at once, and that billing, I believe, goes back to April, which is why there was such a large item on the vouchers for him. He's also adamantly refused to talk to us about the cameras until that invoice is paid, which is just another reason to find somebody else in my mind. In researching our options, the best solution we found is a company in Bremerton. Comes very highly recommended, is used by over 100 local businesses of all sizes. We met with them previously on site here. They reviewed all our IT needs and asked a lot of pertinent questions. We met with them this past Thursday at their facility, met their people, got all our questions answered. Main issue for me was that there's a monthly subscription charge instead of billing for services as rendered. But in today's IT service environment, that's the current business model. In researching other reputable IT firms, most operate the same way. Cost is $750 a month. Well, $742 and change. I got the contract today. But that includes 24/7, 365 unlimited support, all our current software subscriptions, which we pay for approximately $100 a month, upgrades to Windows Pro, and it includes virus and intrusion monitoring and protection with the firewall equipment required for that, which we don't have now. They also offer forensic investigation capabilities as well as full management of all our cloud-based software. In the end, when we compare our current IT costs against that figure, it's about a wash dollar-wise with more services and equipment provided. Security camera issues. As you're aware, the vendors informed us that the 2 multi-sensor units are no longer available. We're in the process of looking at smaller units, but more of them to cover what we need and stay within our budget. I will be meeting with the vendor to discuss potential options this week. I'd hoped to do so before now, but was unable to do so, both due to my previous health situation and his refusal to talk to us until the support bill was paid. I'm researching other vendors just in case we need to demand a refund and move forward with someone else. Redistricting, we have to have our redistricting complete by November. I've been working with the county's GIS manager, and it looks like we'll be able to do this for less than $750, as opposed to the $10,000 we originally thought it was going to be. And hopefully we'll have it finished for you to approve by the next meeting. I got the numbers today. There's not a lot of change except in District 3. So District 1 I think had about 200 more people. District 2, I forget, like 300 people, but District 3 had like 1,000 more people.
So we may have to change boundaries then.
So, we may have to redraw the lines.
Yeah.
Old business, Oyster
I will
House.
get to you, Bonnie. I see you.
Just wondering what 1, 2, and 3 are. I don't remember.
Pardon?
Which districts are those? 1, 2, and 3?
I'm 1, 2, and 3.
1, 2, 3. Okay.
You're 3? Sorry, I lied.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lakeland.
North Shore.
Yeah, Beards Cove, not Beard, well, that lower west.
I just couldn't remember which
Okay.
direction.
Sorry, Larry, go ahead.
Okay. Geoengineers have straightened out, nothing, Oyster House, nothing to report on the building itself. Geoengineers have straightened out all the confusion with the Army Corps permit, but we do not yet have a copy of the actual permit in hand. Corps has been slow in responding to geoengineers' requests for a paper copy. We've applied for and been approved for the hydraulic permits for both Allyn and Hood Canal. Our goal is to get the pile driving out to bid as soon as possible, so hopefully we'll be able to drive pilings during this year's fish window. Excuse me, fish window, which closes February 15th of next year. Timing is a critical issue for both getting someone to bid on this as well as getting the work done in a timely manner. Sweetwater Park, as reported previously, the arborist found a total of 36 trees on both the park site and the rest of the property that needed to either be removed or trimmed, and detailed them in his report to us. I intend to walk the property with the tree cutter, one of the commissioners, and possibly Mr. Van Buskirk, as soon as a tree cutter is available to do so. He's really, really busy right now, and his schedule is kind of what all this is hinging on. Once we identify all the trees the arborist marked, he's going to cut and trim the ones on the park site and then do the rest at a later date yet to be determined. Salmon Center's been working with a volunteer organization to clean up the Peterson parcel, and they cleaned up our property last Thursday. Peterson parcel will be cleaned up on August 25th with the help from DNR. Tree cutter did cut down that willow tree that was in danger of falling down, and we moved a couple of the ecology blocks so the debris could be hauled out. In the meantime, Mr. Van Buskirk has questioned whether or not the tree cutter had a permit to fell the willow tree. Fact is, Mason County Code permits removal of danger trees in critical areas with no Class 1 forest practices permit required. He also sent an email filing a complaint against myself and Commissioner Scott for allowing people on the property, the people doing the cleanup. While there are trees that need to be cut, I asked Joe Brogan about this, and his response was, I see no action item here. There are dead trees all over Washington State. We don't close roads, parks, and public places on account of such conditions unless an official has reason to believe the danger is imminent. Since no trees fell down during the cleanup and no one was injured, no trees have fallen down since then, it's obvious there was no imminent danger. Mr. Van Buskirk also alleged the arborist surveyed the Peterson property as well as ours, and since that's private property, for us to have paid him constitutes gifting of public funds. We've determined that is not what took place. On page 7 of the arborist's second report, there's a graphic detailing what area was surveyed, and it specifically shows the Peterson property was not. I've enclosed the report in your meeting packet. The entire property will remain closed to the public until the tree situation is completely resolved. RCO has been made aware of the situation, what we're doing to deal with it, and has agreed our actions are totally appropriate and acceptable to them. I sent geoengineers the information about the culvert that was allegedly moved, but after looking into it, they confirmed we have no responsibility for this, and if it did in fact happen, it was obviously before we took possession of the property, making it a fish and wildlife issue. Kitsap Allports meeting, the last meeting was on July 25th at the Port of Brownsville. I attended it, and there was a barbecue and potluck before the meeting. That's kind of a tradition they do every July. When the individual port reports were given, nothing out of the ordinary was reported. Next meeting's October 24th. Criminalization of the Marina rules, nothing new to report. That's my report.
Thank
Happy
you.
to answer any questions.
On the criminalization of marina rules, have anybody in the Kitsap County been dealing with that and had any updates on that?
Kingston, I think, got that through the county commission. But, you know, if you recall about, I want to say 5.5 years ago, after we approved the marina rules we had,
Yeah.
we took them to the county. They had their attorney look at them, recommended a bunch of changes. We had our attorney make those changes, and then they came and presented it to the county commission, and the county commission rejected it, and that's
Okay.
where we've left it.
Okay. Any questions for Larry?
Commissioner Jackson wanted to work on that, but we didn't see any point in doing anything till we had these cameras up and working. So,
Real quickly, on the IT that you interviewed, the IT company, do they do any government businesses? Or is it all private?
I didn't hear what you said.
The IT company that you looked at out of
Yeah.
Bremerton, do they do any government IT work?
I'm gonna tell you the truth, I don't know.
Okay.
I can find out though. But they are doing all kinds of businesses. I personally know of about 10 businesses that they do. And they're real professional. This is a group of people that knows what they're doing.
Right.
You know, we're not dealing with a one-man shop. We're not dealing with, two guys that think that they can do this. These people know what they're doing. I mean, it was pretty impressive.
Great. That's good.
price.
Pardon?
At a better price, too.
Yeah, I mean, what we're spending on average to have somebody work on our stuff was about $500 a month off and on. Some months it'd be, like when we had Charles, it was always 500 or more.
Mm-hmm.
With the nerd, it was, well, you saw the bills. So.
Correct.
So it is a little bit more, but it's much
But
more
it's,
put together.
but it also includes what we're spending for software.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
And that's about $100 a month. So it's
Okay.
pretty much a wash dollar-wise. And I think we're just seriously upgrading what we're gonna get. So,
Yeah, that's great. Any other questions? No? Okay. Okay, on to new business. Update on the Port Marina rules. It's in our packet. Now, to be honest, I didn't have a chance to look through all this. Can you tell me what the changes were? Or is this,
There's changes all through it.
okay,
Some were changes in fees, some were changes in, what you can do here, what you can't do, that sort of thing.
did you guys get a chance to examine everything?
I did not go through a
Okay.
thorough
Nice.
do justice to it.
No, I skimmed through it. I haven't gone
So-
through every
Yeah.
paragraph.
We may have to wait
Revisit
on
that.
that resolution, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Sorry to delay it. but-
So you want to revisit that next?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't have a chance to look at this.
Okay, that's fine.
I mean, be healthier for the commission.
Yeah, and at least everybody can look at it if they want, but,
Fine.
okay,
It's on our website now.
okay. So at least you can say that it's draft, right?
It's been drafted and we need to look at it more. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Larry.
Yeah, there's a lot of work going through that.
I know, I see. Okay, let me see if that was it. That's not the right one. Just a minute here, I want to make sure I have the... Okay, the next one is the Executive Director's Declaration of Authority. I'll let you guys talk first, and I'll give you my 2 cents. How's that?
All right. I guess I can open it up. I mean, I see the convenience behind it, but we don't have the same budget as some of the other ports. That's my concern. And to keep it, it's certainly not a lack of trust. It's just a little bit healthier cushion, being we have the smaller budget compared to, it's a broad brush to paint for some of the large ports. And then include that in small ports too. That's my concern.
Okay, Ted?
Well, I understand what Jeff Carey was saying, but how much did it cost us to replace the wiring?
It was,
30,
yeah, it was 22,000. It was paid for by insurance, but we had to pay for it up front
right.
and be reimbursed. But it was 21,000 something for one of them, and the other one, the first one, I think, was just right over 20.
Well, my opinion about that is that I would like to go ahead and give that raise of that because of the convenience of it. You always keep us informed, at least you've always keep us what's going on, so there's that level of trust. And also just the track record is that if you feel like it's too much, then you don't do it. At least that's my opinion, so.
Well, when I hired you, when you hired me, I told you I'm cheap.
Yeah,
I act like it's my money.
I mean, and not all of us are always going to be here, right? Including the executive director. So
yeah.
someone would have to undo that, and that could be an issue, whereas not doing it at all remains in effect as it is.
Well, if we did hire another one, that would be one of the first things we would visit.
Yeah, because you've
'Cause
got to
we-
do that
yeah.
immediately when you hire the guy.
Yeah,
Is
And it's
determine
usually-
what his level of spending authority should be.
and generally it should be every year that you visit these things, so,
Yeah,
Let's see.
we haven't done it in a while.
Good
Yeah.
point.
No, we should, at the first meeting, I believe
Yeah.
that's
It's
best
just
practice.
that, the state has said we can do a no bid up to $40,000. Something else that they said too is anything over 40, you can approve on a voice vote.
oh, really?
Yeah, or you can say, if say it's, I don't know, $50,000 or something,
Mm-hmm.
you can now just go ahead and say, we give the director authority to sign this.
What, with an individual phone call and or email?
Yeah.
Well, we can do that now for the
Yeah.
25, over 25,000 right now.
No, you
we
cannot,
can't. Why?
because that constitutes a serial meeting.
But
If
why,
I
what's the difference?
if I email all three of you and say, can we do this, and you all respond, that's a serial meeting
Well, no.
for the Open Public Meetings Act.
No, that's not what I mean. So what would be the difference over $40,000 to get a voice out of it from?
It's just that you all can approve it. You know, it does, you can say we don't, instead of putting this out to bid at 50,000, we just approve it as a no bid. That's all it is. That you decide you don't want to have it go out to bid, you just approve whatever that bid is. And I don't think I explained it correctly.
No, I don't think you did either, actually. If you wouldn't, I guess, or I didn't understand it, so I will put that on you. But so basically, we're talking about whether it goes out to bid or not. We still have to approve up to $40,000, correct?
No, I can do, if you approve this, I can do up to 40,000.
But anything over?
Anything over has to come before you, but you can determine whether you want it to go out to bid or not.
And as of right now, anything over $25,000
Comes to you.
comes to us, and we can determine whether it goes out to bid or not.
No,
Oh, really?
no, just whether it gets paid or not. Because up to 40,000 doesn't need to be bid,
All right.
you know, unless you all choose that you want it to be.
Can I make a clarification? When they come out like that, they say no bid. That has really nothing to do with Larry's authority.
I know, yeah.
That means that
Can't do that. Can't do
the port as a whole just doesn't
That's
have
true.
to send stuff out for bid.
Well, we'll save that, Bonnie, I'm sorry. Well,
It's okay.
okay,
it. We need to be real strict about the public
Yeah.
comment, so, sorry.
well said, so thank you, John. Okay, so anyway, it's up. If I don't hear a motion, then we move on.
I'm not gonna make the motion.
Yeah, I'd move on with this. I understand what we're trying to do and make it less cumbersome if something happens, but if it's an emergency, we can authorize the extra money to go. So I'd rather just keep it at that, unless we're gonna have a big project with the pile driving. And I know those people are really on a tight schedule with all the other jobs they have going, so.
Theirs could be over that anyway, right?
That will be,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say,
Yeah.
I would table it.
Okay, there we go. Now we set the date for the September meeting. He asked in his report of September 7th. I'm good with that.
September 7th works for me.
Okay.
I love it.
Works for me also.
Okay, so September 7th.
Okay.
And then F is set up the work session for some of these grants that we need to discuss and see if we can apply for. What qualifies?
Well, would August 10th work?
It would have to be after 12 o'clock for me on August 10th. I have a meeting at 10 o'clock I can't miss,
Okay.
so.
Sure. August 10th would
Say
work.
August 10th at 1:30?
Yeah, because I think that'll give us enough time now, because we're going to have executive
We don't know.
session, right? Or do,
Yeah.
okay. Don't know, okay. August 10th will be fine
Okay.
for a work session.
At what time?
1:30.
Okay.
All right.
The work session would be for any of the grants, you know,
Okay.
so that I think we can just kind of keep it in the ballpark of all the grants that may be available.
Okay.
Because there's the Belfair, you know, there's the Feller to Belfair State Park, Sweetwater Park, there were some others that might be available. And, well, there's one through PRTPO, and they are planning grants.
Okay.
So one of my things is to get people off of Highway 300. So whatever we can brainstorm about that.
Okay. Thank you.
So because it was in the agenda, I hope you guys don't mind, but I would like to open up for public comment, if that's okay with you, even though we've done one, because it was in the agenda already. So,
I'm okay with that.
okay, and that is on the agenda, it got approved, so. I will open it up for public comment. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes, if you would. Does anybody have a timer?
I've got my own timer.
Oh,
Is it okay if I come up
sure,
here?
yes,
Or-
please do, and please come to the podium. If you would, you don't have to, you can state your name and,
Of course.
Okay.
My name is Gina Finley. I live at 211 Blackwell Street. I've been here exactly a year. We moved in on July 4th. And I just want to say that I absolutely love living in Allyn. I moved from Pierce County, and we have a boat down at the moorage here, and almost every weekend and throughout the week we get to listen to visitors come to Allyn and talk about what they love, and usually the boathouse and just the water, and I just absolutely love being here. I regret not being at the meeting last month when the discussion about the Airbnb that my husband and I had came up. I just want to say, Larry and I have talked back and forth, and we both agreed bygones will be bygones, but publicly I would just like to say that, and I want to preface this statement, and I usually don't talk about myself this way, but I was an elected official myself, served 5 years out in Pierce County as a fire commissioner. I'm the executive director of a large nonprofit that serves women and families, and I'm also on the board of a large nonprofit that serves Southwest Washington, Big Brothers and Big Sisters. My husband and I love our community. We've already had a couple meetings up here in this new development, and which we've invited Commissioner Jackson to. We are reasonable people, and I just have to say for the public record that when I got this laminated cease and desist letter on my boat for lots of people to read, and then a certified letter without a phone call, it hurt. I was pretty upset because I really believe that if I just would have had a phone call or an email, hey Gina, you might want to show up at the meeting. I know that's my responsibility to know what's going on in my local government. I will take ownership of that and will continue to come to public meetings. I do want to apologize for doing something that was not, as Mr. Coppola has acknowledged, was not a policy at the time and now is. It was just something that kind of happened. We're not making money on our boat. We had a lot of people like, hey, we'd love to spend the night, and we're like, all right, let's do an Airbnb. I'm not doing that any longer, and I will continue to pay mortgage and contribute to this community. And I still have a minute left, so let's see what else I want to talk about. But really, I am very thankful to be here in Allyn. Every time I tell people that I live in Allyn now, no matter where I'm at, they're like, oh, I love Allyn. So we really want to see this community thrive. We want to be an active part of it. We've already invited the Dunkels here. We've become friends with them. They're buying a house in our neighborhood, and we plan on contributing. But I just would ask that in the future, that the way you treat people, whether you're in a position of authority like I am, just with a little more respect, a little bit more, hey, if I would have thought that, I certainly can see getting a lawyer involved, but this came as a surprise, and frankly, it felt very hurtful. So with that, I close my comments with a few seconds to spare. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Finley. I'm sorry about that, and I appreciate you taking the time for us. Thank you. Anybody else for public comment? Yes.
Before I begin my comment, I'm a little confused. I saw the agenda and public comment was at the end of the meeting. And I sent an email to you all and asked that I be informed when it was so I knew when to sign into it. I never heard back. So when I tried to sign in at home, I came up on the computer screen, but my audio wasn't working, so I drove over here. So I appreciate you. I just wonder why you didn't let me know when I asked.
I didn't get the email.
I sent it to all of you, so whatever. So for the record, my name is Ken Van Buskert, Davis Farm Road in Belfair. At the last meeting I attended, you gavelled me down, yet later on in that meeting, you let others exceed the 3-minute time limit. Please extend that same courtesy to me tonight. I'll try to keep it to 3 minutes. As you're aware, I was the only member of the public to attend the special meeting on June 23rd. The meeting was not recorded, even though one commissioner attended the meeting via Zoom. The reason you gave when I asked was that it was a special meeting and not required. Special meetings have been recorded in the past. A policy should be adopted that includes recording all public meetings, both regular and special, that utilize Zoom, not at the whim of the chairperson to limit public access. Both Commissioner Jackson, Commissioner Sheridan, and Ms. Dennis heard what was said to me by Commissioner Scott. You need to hold her accountable for her disparaging remarks. I've read the agreement that you entered into with Mr. Carey. You wouldn't answer any of my questions at that meeting. And I believe that the ports violated section 16 and 17 of the agreement with Mr. Carey. To set your misperceptions straight, I have not been opposed to the Sweetwater Park or trail system. Only some of the design facets and the despicable actions of a primary proponent. I walked all the streams in the UGA in 2004, including Sweetwater Creek. I walked the property when I was a school board member. I worked with Principal King and Superintendent Rosenbaugh to mitigate hazard trees that I had discovered on the border with the school way before the port took possession. Please recall I walked the property with former Commissioner Farmer and Cooper as well as Commissioner Scott before you took possession. Please recall that I asked the port several times to change the scope of the project without utilizing the Peterson property. I got the port to adopt a policy regarding text messaging after discovering disparaging text messages with commissioner involvement. I met with Mr. Rick Krieger when I saw the design of the regional trail system and suggested a much more economical and practical location for the trail, a survey design that he paid for. I asked the port to take a position on the EIS, on the property zoning, and the archaeological site designation of the property, but you didn't do anything. About a year ago, I reported the dump site and walked into it with Mr. Merrill. March 5th, I reported the hazard trees. It's been 5 months since I reported those trees. They're still there. The majority of them are. Yet you allowed volunteers to enter the site and pick up garbage without telling them about the hazard trees, according to Mr. Capola. Shame on you. A month ago, I reported quad tracks to you an additional trespass. Nothing's been done with posting the upper boundary of that property. Enough is enough. Please have your attorney give me a call. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Jeff? Okay. Jeff, go ahead. Then Bonnie, you're next.
Real quick, the next meeting, could you amplify the podium area a little bit more? Because I can hear the commission, I can hear Larry, but it's hard to hear people at the podium. So for next meeting, if you could up the application a little bit there, it'd be great. That's it.
All right, thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Bonnie?
Okay, my turn.
My name is Bonnie Knight. Live in Allyn.
Speak loud.
Okay, first off, Allyn Days. You were right, it was spectacular. That is the first one that I've been in that's so well organized. And the good thing is we almost doubled our money. We started out with like 19,000 and we ended up with just under 40,000 cash. So after all the bills will be paid, there'll be someplace in that area. And we got a big project coming, so we're excited. The kids area in particular was really well attended this year, and we decided to make it a no-pay situation so nobody would be left out. And we had $521 in donations. Yay! It is really good. People really appreciated the expansion of it. We brought some new things in again this year. A big thing happened yesterday that I think is kind of significant. The fire district had a dedication ceremony to honor my husband, Richard Knight, and they dedicated the new engine to him in recognition of his years in service and what he did for the district. So North Bay Review is going to be having a story on that, so I'll be helping write that thing.
55 years.
Huh?
55 years.
55 years, yeah. Yeah, it was pretty nice. It was really pretty nice. And a lot of the original kids that I joined in 1990. It's a long time ago. And the kid that is now acting chief was a teenager. So I've seen these kids over a lot of years. I was involved for 20 years as a firefighter, and it's just really gratifying to see so many of the kids still are with the fire district. I just have one comment on the public comment. I got caught really short on that. Sorry, I was rude. But if you're going to have public comment at the beginning, I think any new significant items that's brand new to you guys, I mean, you guys have seen all this stuff, but we haven't. We haven't had a chance to read it or digest it. And there was really there was no way I could discuss something I didn't know what it was. Because it doesn't show in there exactly what you were talking about. It shows delegation of authority, but it didn't put I didn't see the amount. I should have read farther, but I didn't have a chance to. And that in and of itself concerns me because our budget is so low. But, you know, you guys decide what you're going to decide, but it would be really helpful if you bring a new item, if you could cover it at one meeting and allow us to have time to digest it. I mean, these rules are a lot, and even though they're online, I didn't even know about it. I mean, because I don't go to the port all the time and read it. So if you could hand out this stuff or make an announcement at one meeting and actually take action the next meeting, especially with public comments at the beginning, so that we can actually, instead of just comment, it would be good to have discussion about it. That would be really appreciated, because those are pretty significant items. And like rate changes and that, I would like to see actual public comment where we have a chance to consider it.
Yeah.
And otherwise, you guys are doing a great job. Impressed with all of you.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you.
Yes.
Spare me a minute?
Oh,
Either way.
okay, go ahead, because you just raised your hand. You're next, Richard. Thank you.
Good evening, Port Commissioners. My name is Jennifer Dunkel, and I'm looking to be a new member of your community up here in Allyn. I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but I think I will, just in support of your security cameras that you have on your agenda item tonight. I'm with the Mason County Women's Republican Club, and I know that they have contacted you guys to be able to have access to the security cameras during election period so that we can keep an eye on the ballot drop box. And so we just want to support you in your efforts to get the security cameras, because it will also be very important for our county to be able to have surveillance on the ballot drop box for our elections. And it would be great if we could work with you to be able to have access to the footage during the time that the ballot drop boxes are opened to when they're closed, for both the primary and for the general and any other special elections. So we just want to thank you for considering that, and we'd like you to consider how else it will be useful for us in our county.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, can't make a decision tonight, but thank you. Appreciate it. Richard?
Those casters on the chairs are kind of confusing sometimes when you go to push off.
Okay.
I just want to add an item. She brought it up to 55 years. The first 3 years, there wasn't even a fire district. It was just strictly an Allyn Victor Volunteer Fire Department. And then we formally formed a fire district. I just thought, for anybody that's really interested in Allyn and what has happened over these years, why, that's a pretty good item.
Thank you, Richard. Anybody else? Steve? No?
Well, I'll just say it's good to be here. This is my first Port of Allyn Commissioners meeting, and it's good to see you guys in action, and glad to be here. As Jennifer said, we're planning and in the process of moving back to Allyn, and we're also in the process of buying a boat, so we're very much attuned to what the rules and regulations are with respect to having a boat moored at the Port of Allyn. So.
Wonderful. Well, welcome. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, anything for the good of the order?
I had something. I had said I'd like to go to this Evergreen Rural Water meeting. Do you all have any heartburn about that?
I think it'd be a good idea.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I think would be real helpful to us in saving money pumping groundwater. But another one about, I just lost it here, hold on. What's the right meter technology for you as our system grows? I think we want to look at the idea of maybe looking at electronic metering rather than somebody go out there and read every single meter, because we're up around 100 connections now. That's, over a day's work for Don.
So Belfair Water does that, aren't they electronic now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and electronic metering is pretty common.
Mm-hmm.
And even a small system like Manchester's doing it. So I'd like to find out more about that. And then cross-connection control hazards is another one. So anyway, I just think it's an opportunity to learn something that's going to help our water system as it's growing.
I agree.
So do I.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So, thank you.
I wanted to thank Linda Wodowich for her trash mash of keeping Mark Wodowich's vision alive. Mark was he was really instrumental in helping us with the Sergeant Oyster House. He did a video of that and documentation of some of the people that worked in the Sergeant Oyster House, and he was going around starting to clean up parks and all that. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Which was part of the delay with what we did, and then the wife, the widow, picked up the ball.
Yeah.
Which is wonderful.
Yeah. So I just wanted to give kudos to them. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Meeting adjourned.